Today we're on the campus of Mount Olive College, and we're here with our friend Jessica Strickland of the Cooperative Extension Service, horticulturist extraordinaire. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Great to have you.
Thank you.
Out here, and I didn't know this place was out here. What is this? Where are we?
This is the fitness garden that is at Mount Olive College, and it's a garden that was designed and planned by students within their agriculture program here at the college.
Okay.
And they have a good agriculture program where they've continuously been growing, have many students involved in agribusiness, agriculture education, and one of the major emphases they have is to get out of the classroom and to gain some skills outside the classroom. And this was one of their projects, was to develop a fitness garden that allows people to show how gardens can be more accessible.
Okay, a fitness garden.
Yes.
Why is it called a fitness garden?
Well, gardening is a large hobby for a lot of people, and it's a great way to get some exercise.
You're right.
It's a great way for people to get outside and to move, bend over picking weeds, walk around, have some movement, and it's a great way just to get some exercise while enjoying, the benefits of gardening.
And being outdoors.
Exactly.
Look at all this vitamin D falling down on us here. How about that? Well, how long has this garden been here?
Not 100% sure. I think the garden's been here maybe a couple years.
Oh, is that all?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Oh, I thought it'd been here much longer than that.
Yes.
Well, it looks great. Gosh, look at the squash.
Yes.
All right, we're going to look at some of these plants around here. We're going to look at some of these raised beds. Now, tell me about the raised beds.
Raised beds are a way that a lot of people have added vegetable gardening to their landscape. And raised beds is just developing a bed, and there's many ways you can come up with it, and they have a lot of different examples in this garden. But with the raised beds, you can have just using some wood and developing a low raised bed. There's even some in here that are at a level where you don't have to bend over.
Okay.
So as far as people that are not able to bend over and so forth, then that allows them to still reach in, pull weeds, garden, and it not be as much stress on their body.
Okay.
There's many ways to come up with raised beds. A lot of people get very creative. A lot of people use as wood to come up with the frame of a raised bed. But you see cement blocks. You can even really get the expensive, fancy, boards that are more durable, long-lasting. They're just a little pricey.
Yeah.
But a lot of people get creative when they come up with their raised beds.
And of course, there's so many different ways. If you can't afford materials, you can just actually build a big mound, can't you?
Yes, you could.
As long as it doesn't wash away.
Right.
Okay. All right.
And one of the benefits too is this is kind of breaking away from some of the traditional vegetable garden where we think of it being a large plot that has to all be plowed, tilled.
Yeah.
People don't have as much access to tractors, tillers, and so forth. And this is a way that they can incorporate in the bed, a small bed area, some soil, compost, their fertilizer, and everything in there, and then grow a few vegetables and have it very close to their house and not have to take up a huge amount of land.
Now, the soil amendments are so important.
They really are.
We live in a sandy area here in southern Wayne County. Northern Wayne County has a little more clay, I guess.
Right.
And the way you treat the soil is whether or not you're going to have a successful garden or not.
That's true.
You need more than just dirt.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, you really do. Usually we tell people as far as the first step into creating a garden is to amend the soil. That's your first step, is to do that. And if it's very sandy or if it does have some clay in it, which we have in some areas of the county, compost works great for both of those situations. Organic matter compost, in that it loosens up the soil, it allows for more drainage if the drainage is poor, but at the same time it allows for it to hold some moisture if it needs to, like in sandy soils. Tomatoes, just like we said earlier, starting with the soil is always important, and with tomatoes you have to have some support. You have to have some kind of way to stake them or give some support. And with tomatoes, a lot of people get creative in how to stake or support them. Some people get fence panels and put on either side of the row and support that way. Some people get the individual cages like they've got here, and let the tomatoes grow through them.
Now, not all tomato cages are like that. Some are actually, some are too small.
That's right. Some have kind of the narrow bottom and the wider top.
Yeah.
And then you can make your own. You can create ones.
This is a fencing that you can get at a lumber yard or Lowe's or Home Depot or somewhere like that. All right, that's good. That's a good idea. All right, we're in squash now, right?
Yes.
All right, okay. Do you have any, you said this garden had been here a couple of years, but how long, when did this garden start this year? When did they get started on? Do you have any idea?
No, I'm not sure of when they started. You know, typically with starting a lot of these, your tomatoes, your squash is usually after the risk of frost has passed. So usually we're talking about late April.
Late April.
May
Late April, yeah.
Most people start on these types of warm season vegetables.
When we recorded this, we are in the middle of July, all right, in case this plays again later in the year. In the middle of July, they started growing late April, so it's April, May, June. This is about 90 days old.
Right.
So in about 90 days, we've got tomatoes beginning to turn red. We have squash beginning to, my goodness, look at all the squash. These plants are gorgeous. Of course, now squash plants get large anyway.
Right. And squash is one of those, like squash, zucchini, if you just have a few seeds, or, you know, usually people start with maybe 4 or 5 seeds per heel. They kind of heel it up or, you know, put them in a spot together. And just a few plants will, you know, feed a family very easily. You don't have to have many plants.
That's
get
true.
A lot of squash and zucchini from them. They will produce quite a bit over the summer.
So you can feed a lot of people with only 5 squash plants.
Yes, you really can.
So you put what, 4 or 5 seeds to a hill?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right, 4 or 5 seeds to a squash hill, and then you have maybe 4 hills.
Yes.
And that's a plenty.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you need.
These are ones that are very, you know, easy to grow. They got the large seeds. We usually just, you know, plant the seeds directly in because they germinate so easily.
Yeah.
And, you know, usually very easy care.
Okay. And this is a raised bed, but it's only like a 1x6 or a piece of wood.
Right.
And filled with soil and soil amendments.
Mm-hmm. And with a raised bed, you know, if you come up with design or trying to design a raised bed, one thing you definitely want to think about is keep it maybe not any wider than 4 feet or so, because you do want to be able to easily reach in the middle.
Well, yeah, that's good.
But the length, you can determine that based on your space and how much you want to take care of.
Okay, so the length, the width rather, about 4 feet, no more than 4 feet, and the length, it doesn't matter. Because it doesn't matter how tall you are. Now, Jessica, we're at one of the higher raised beds here. This is let's see here. That's about 1, 2, 3. That's an 8. That's a little over 2 feet high. A little over 2 feet here, and this takes a lot of soil and soil amendments here. This is interesting. Tell me about the watering system here.
Well, when you look at watering systems for a raised bed, anytime you have a garden, you want to make sure that you have access to water, and that's easy to water your plants because they're going to need water, especially when we have dry summers. And with raised beds, especially the internet now, you can easily find creative ways of getting a watering system set up for a raised bed to make it easier for you.
Okay, now Jessica, we are still at the raised bed. This is about 2 feet tall, but we have had a tremendous amount of rain over the last couple of months. Now here we are in the middle of July, end of July, and we're still getting rain. It's tough keeping up with weeds anywhere, but what about in these raised beds? What's the best way to handle this?
Raised beds, you know, just like anywhere else, something to cover and to prevent, you know, the weeds from getting some sunlight where they'd come up, you know, mulch, so forth. You're always going to have some hand weeding that you're going to have to do. There's going to be some weeds, you know, nut sedge and so forth, that's going to find their way through mulch or any kind of cover. But a lot of people use different things for their mulch, whether it's shredded pine bark, or they use compost, or even some of their some other type of organic mulch. And then you've got the inorganic mulches like rocks and so forth. And so, you know, with weeds, that cover will help. And starting out with a weed-free bed, it'll be another way to help. But the weeds will show up usually. So it is the biggest challenge with gardening, is how to deal with the weeds. And it takes some persistence. It takes not letting them get carried away. I hear a lot of people say if you just routinely walk through your yard or garden and try to pull the weeds as you see them while they're little, then it doesn't take over so fast. But you're correct in that. With how much rain we've had, they have really shot up and, you know, become a challenge past week or so.
Now I see some green peppers here. Is that right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And it was hard to see because of the weeds.
Right. Yes.
Well, come on here now.
And you do want to make sure, you know, that you get the weeds, because as they get bigger, you know, they're going to start competing against the plants you want to keep. So in this case, you know, you've got some weeds competing against the peppers and for water and fertilizer, nutrients and such. And you want to be able to keep those away so the plant has the best shot at growing.
The difference is amazing. We have these these pepper plants here compared to the pepper plants behind us that look very healthy, and there are no weeds in there.
That's correct. Yes, so it'll make a big difference in the growth.
This is grass. Now, how did the grass get up this high? I don't mean how did they grow that tall. I mean, how did they get into the?
Well, the weeds are, have evolved to where they're survivors. They find ways to survive no matter what we try to do to control them. And a lot of them have, ways to get the seeds to spread, whether it's by wind, whether it's by birds or insects, or even where they get caught on your shoes and your pants as you're walking through, or an animal's coat or fur, and then deposit them somewhere else. And and a lot of them produce huge number of seeds per plant, so they've got a really good shot then of some of those seeds coming back.
All right, now the point is that these grasses and these weeds did not come up through the bottom of this planter. No. They actually from either mowing the yard, or birds, or the wind.
Exactly. Yes, they somehow made their way here.
Yeah. Well, they got a good crop of grass going here.
Yes.
All right, now tell me, what is this?
Let's see.
Any idea on that? Because I have a great crop of that in my yard too.
Off the top of my head, I want to say it might be carpetweed, possibly.
Right, possibly.
And yeah.
I can do without it.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, weeds, helping it identify. We can help at the extension office with identifying them. We have resources and things that we can, assist people when they have questions about weed control. Okay,
very good. Jessica, thank you for an enlightening trip here at the Fitness Garden at Mount Olive College. This is great. I love this place.
It's a wonderful place, and people can come out here and take a look at it and get ideas and so forth. It's located behind the baseball field, the right side of the baseball field.
Okay.
And kind of a little gravel road that you come back towards the outfield of the baseball field. And
all right, now looking past the camera here, I see a field to the right, I see another field over there, and there's a field over here. We're right off of the Highway 117 bypass around Mount Olive, and you come into the parking lot of the baseball field and continue following the little gravel road around till you can't go any further.
Right.
And behind us, you'll see all this great fitness garden here. Well, thank you so much. Now, if anyone has any questions about any of this, how do they get in touch with you?
They can call our office. The number is 919-731-1520.
731-1520. Jessica Strickland is the horticulturist for the Wayne County Cooperative Extension Service, and thank you.